Wow, good afternoon and welcome to the 660 Club, the one club in London that is not affected by 10 p.m. curfews. And it's a place to be, of course, if you want to meet 6 game-changing startups in 60 minutes. We started 660 back in April this year, and what a ride it's been. We've now welcomed over 1,000 members into the club. We've covered a wide range of topics from helping corporate leaders basically get on top of this new normal. But as we move forward, what we want to do is make sure that 660 is even more relevant and even more useful to you. And so with that in mind, what we've done is split 660 into industry groups. So for those of you who are focused on the mobility industry, that means that we're going to be meeting on the 4th Thursday of every month, right through to the end of 2020. So if this is your first time in the club, welcome. My name's Jeremy Bassett. I'm CEO of CoCubed. And at CoCubed, our approach to helping mobility leaders is to lead digital transformation by connecting them to startups from around the world who are driving that disruption. Here's a 30-second overview of what we do. We're always looking for ways to disrupt ourselves, and we set ourselves a challenge. How can we make it easier for corporates to engage with startups from around the world? How can we make it a simple sign-off process, something that's quick and not too expensive, something you might even be able to charge to your corporate credit card? Well, I'm really excited to offer our club members access to Go Partner. And here's how it works. Give us your brief. Tell us what you're interested in or what you're looking for solutions, spaces that you're looking for solutions in. And we'll curate 10 startups overnight that we think are right for you. They'll then arrive in your inbox, all for 495 quid. So if you like what you see today, but you're interested in finding more companies in different spaces, then let us know your brief, and we'll get cracking to help you find companies that are perfect for you. So let's get this show on the road. Here's how today is going to work. In just a minute, you'll hear from our guest speaker, and then we'll dive into quick fire pitches from 6 startups who are pioneering the future of the mobility industry. You'll then get the opportunity to meet with those companies and find out more about them in the networking zone right over there, where you can talk to the presenters, tap into their insights, and ask the startups questions, as well as meet other club members. If you want to see more details on the companies that you've met today, you can also head to their expo booth. Right after this, you can find out more about them there and click to connect as well. And of course, we'll send you their details right after this event later today as well. Throughout the event, you can head to the chat bar on your right. It's on the side there. Say hello, make comments, ask questions, and the CoCubed team are there to help you out as well. So it's my pleasure to introduce our guest speaker for today. Mark Petman is a leader within the transport innovation sector. He's been involved here for over 10 years, working in innovation, franchise bids, and strategic partnerships. Here to tell us more, please welcome Mark. Mark, thank you for joining.
Great, thanks, Jeremy. Can you hear me?
We can, and we can even see you, which is even better.
Perfect.
Mark, I gave a brief intro to you and your role, but why don't you tell us a little bit more about what you're doing at LNER?
Yeah, sure. Thanks for inviting me along today, and good afternoon, everyone. So I'm the innovation manager at LNER. I started at this company back in 2015, actually, when it was Virgin Trains, before it became LNER. And as Jeremy said, I did franchise bidding for a few years before then as well. Over the years, so over the last 5 years, I've led and developed over 50 innovation products and projects. So roughly 10 a year, 1 a month, actually, which is really quite a big number when I think about it like that. And I've got responsibility for the innovation strategy, horizon scanning, to make sure we keep on top of trends and tech. delivering innovative solutions that solve our challenges, and just generally being a cheerleader of innovation.
Amazing. One a month. That is a great record, Mark.
Yeah.
And obviously, like, you started this journey quite early. You mentioned Virgin Trains, and they had Platform X, and were one of the early pioneers in terms of the transport industry really engaging with startups. Talk us through, how does innovation work at LNER? How do you drive innovation there?
Yeah, so I'm under Virgin. We actually had a team of 10 in the innovation team, and now at LNER there's just me. So I'm the one innovation manager at LNER. So obviously own some projects. I generally own around 6 at any one time, but I also advise on other projects as well. So things like loyalty or our mobile app, things like that, big major projects. And it does happen quite regularly, but sometimes I'm a bit of a blocker because I'm just on my own. So one thing that I've been trying to do is actually democratize innovation at LNER. So everyone has permission and is encouraged to innovate. And one of our values is be bold, go out there and kind of challenge the norm. So when other people pick up that innovation baton, I'm there basically to support them. So that could be like a 30-minute chat, linking them up with some suppliers, like maybe you'll hear from later, running ideation sessions, or even having input and scoring things like tenders. So the idea is, I guess I'm kind of the figurehead of it, but there's lots of people behind the scenes driving it along.
Amazing. Yeah, that's a great way to have an impact, and of course an impact that's well beyond your role. I like that you're involved in projects, but you're also supporting other people and getting involved, not just as an advisor, but also really enabling them to get their hands dirty with innovation as well. That's an exciting way to scale it. Obviously, we've had the privilege of working with you on Future Labs as well. I'd love to hear, like, what are your top tips? Getting innovation done in any big corporate is always a challenge. These things don't move fast often, but you've done it for a while and you've done it successfully for a long time. What would be your top tips to people involved in innovation roles who are looking to drive innovation within their company?
Yeah, so really I was thinking about this, and I think there's 5 top tips that I've got, and I think these are really important for kind of suppliers or partners to also kind of bear in mind. This is how I think LNER certainly works, and I think it's scalable. But the first one I would say is you need to collaborate. So get everyone involved at every level of the organization. Don't just speak to directors or heads of departments. You need to get in there and get down to the front line and really speak to those guys and get them involved in innovation, get them involved in projects as well. If you want to introduce a product that's going to impact train drivers, get them involved from the start, make sure they're engaged and make sure it solves a problem for them. My second point would be have a vision as well. I think early on in the innovation journey, it was almost Brewster's Millions almost. You just kind of do a bit of this and a bit of that and a bit of that. And actually you do need a vision or a strategy. You need to sell to your organization what the future looks like. What does the year 2025 look like? For your staff, for your customers, for your assets, your trains and stations in our case. But you really need to get people involved in building that future as well. If you can sell that vision and you get people involved in collaborating, it makes things much easier. My third one would be you need support from the top. So I've mentioned getting everyone involved, but you really need your managing director or other key figures in the organization to give you that permission to innovate, to play in the sandpit. It's tough. It's a tough journey sometimes if you don't have permission. If you want guaranteed success, innovation isn't always the way. But luckily, my MD is a huge fan of innovation, so I've got great support there. But then you need to move at speed as well. Innovation needs to move at speed, otherwise you just kind of get caught in the kind of the trap of BAU. So try to introduce your own processes if you can that are a bit slicker than BAU. And if you're a public company like LNER, there's also hoops around kind of procurement and IT, so get them involved as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
And my fifth one is actually solve some real challenges. So I found, again, early on, if you introduce a shiny gadget just for the sake of it, people will like it for a few days or a few weeks, and then they get a bit bored of it, and actually has a detrimental effect. You become, the department of shiny toys, and you're not delivering anything. So You must solve a challenge would be my key one, probably, which is why I've left it till last. And the thing is, if you don't solve the challenge because you're too ambitious, you see it as a lesson learned. And I've got examples of where we tried to do something in 2016, it didn't work, and then in 2018 it worked because the world had moved on. So don't get disheartened if you don't solve the challenge first time.
Yeah, timing is everything, isn't it? But I love that point. You don't want to be the department for shiny toys. And a lot of innovation leaders fall into that. But great advice there. What was that? Collaborate, have a vision for the future, enlist top support from senior stakeholders, clear the hoops to make it easy for people to innovate and solve a challenge. Great advice, Mark. So Future Labs, I mean, that's another example of pioneering the future. It's been the first virtual accelerator to run in the transport sector. How's it gone? Talk through, maybe give us an overview of what it is, how it's gone, and what would be your advice to companies that are looking to partner with startups?
Sure. I'll start with how it's gone, and it's definitely been a huge success. But I guess to go back to what it is, so we've worked with 5 startups, obviously with CoCubed over 10 weeks, and the idea was to solve real business challenges. The challenges were around getting customers back onto our trains. We were in single-digit customers at the time in terms of a percentage. Personalizing the customer experience, and then being a bit more of a responsible business. So getting rid of paper is an example. So all of the startups delivered some fantastic products, and hopefully we'll be moving forward with them very soon into kind of full productionization. I think Future Labs got us to a stage where we almost proved it can solve the challenge, and it's almost proved the business case as well. So then now is the time to, again, get procurement and IT involved early and say, how can we really push on and deliver this fully? I think my advice would be 100% to do your own accelerator. It doesn't have to be a big kind of beast, if you like Future Labs. It can be a much smaller one. But I think the reason I say 100% do it is the benefit isn't only the 5 products you get at the end of it. The startups can help you achieve kind of culture change, coming back to the 5 points I raised earlier, around vision, collaboration, etc. And I just think a big lesson for me is that it can be hard work actually partnering with 5 startups over 10 weeks. There's a lot of work to be done. So you definitely need kind of a team around you, a mixed team of experts, both internal and external. But it's definitely worth the effort.
Yeah, it's been an amazing journey, and it's been a privilege to go on that, and hopefully the start of lots more to come. About 5 great companies there, of which we're going to meet some of them right now. So Mark, thanks so much for joining.
Thank you.
I appreciate you sharing your insights there. Very valuable to the other innovation leaders that are on the in the club at the moment. But we'll catch up with you later. Cool. Thanks, Mark. So now it's time to dive into the pitches. These are intentionally fast and furious. They're 2 minutes each, and they're designed to give you a short introduction into each company. But hopefully you can carry on that conversation right after this in the networking zone, or connect with them in the Expos booth as well. So let's jump into our first pitch. Here's a random fact for you. Did you know, it makes me feel quite old actually, did you know that 2/3 of people under the age of 30 can't read a map? Well, here with a solution, please welcome Sai from Skynes. Sai, welcome to the club.
Hello. Am I good to go? Good afternoon, everyone. Hope you're okay. I'm Sai Brown. I'm the founder and CEO of Skynes. Bit of background: a consummate entrepreneur, worked in various digital businesses in the future of digital over the last 20 years, after I did a master's degree in virtual reality in the mid-90s, when both my daughters remind me that virtual wasn't a reality. So Skynes came about in the early part of this decade. We work with global clients such as Coca-Cola, Diageo, Warner Music, and LNER recently. Skynes is a precise location augmented reality platform. So as Jeremy said, those people under 30 in a large rest of the population can't read maps. And with 90% of the world's apps all having location services built within them, this is a problem. So at the moment, the only way to present that information is on a list and a map. So if you take the map away, you've only got a list. So what Skynes does is actually put location-based content that's interactive in the sky around you. As you can see the image of King's Cross. Recently we've been working with LNER to look at how the station of the future can be, and we were also working with a number of the other cohort of what the future of mobility is, how stations fit in with that, but how Skynes can fit in that chain of end-to-end travel. Coming out the original part of the project, the biggest feedback we got was it's miles easier than maps. Will this be built in the LNER app? And when I'm at King's Cross, is it easy to find where Harry Potter is? It can do a range of things that are more specific to each industry that you're in. And as we say there, we mainly focus on helping your customers by bringing the future to them now, by stop looking at the phone and start looking through it. Thank you.
Brilliant, Scott. So talk me through. I mean, has this been tested in the? Obviously, you mentioned working with LNER. Have you worked in the automotive sector at all on this?
We've been speaking to a couple of the manufacturers with the automotive sector. We've also looked at other travel parts of the sector, such as TUI, on how they transport people from their airports to your hotel locations when you're away. So we've been doing this for 2 or 3 years, part of our Smart City initiative, and we actually won an award at the Global Smart City Awards 2 years ago for it.
Okay, nice work. Fantastic. We'll catch up in the networking zone right after this. So thank you for joining. It's time to move on to our next company today. And incentivizing passengers to take less crowded trains is nothing new. But when it comes to season tickets, however, it's not just that easy. Or is it? Well, to tell us more from Esoterics, please welcome Liz. Liz, over to you.
Thank you very much, Jeremy. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Liz Davidson. I'm a co-founder at Esoteric Systems, and I'm going to talk to you about our work to help the railway industry better serve its passengers for sustainable recovery. The sustained growth of passenger numbers that was assumed for years has crumbled in the wake of COVID-19. Millions of commuters have discovered that they can actually work from home and that there's a real alternative to travelling by train. The train companies are working really hard to reassure passengers that trains are safe, but they need to do more to be more dynamic and more responsive to changing travel patterns. And they need to find ways to grow numbers sustainably, because passengers won't put up with overcrowded trains anymore. They've got alternatives. At Esoterics, we're developing the technology to optimize revenue and operations within personalized, affordable, flexible ticketing products. What do I mean by optimize revenue and operations? Well, very bluntly, I mean get the most money for the best demand profile. We do that by understanding who travels when and where, on what trains do they use, how regularly do they travel. We machine learn those profiles and spot travel patterns and behavior patterns at the micro and at the macro level. And then we use that information to offer incentives to select passengers to travel on quieter trains. Incentives might be reward points, or they might be simple messages. What we do is understand who will respond to what. It's a subtler, more profitable approach than a blunt peak off-peak pricing structure. The passenger's experience is personalized, affordable, and comfortable, and the operators have more dynamic influence to smooth peaks in demand and the insight to build new passenger relationships so that the railways can once again grow, flourish, and flow. Thank you.
This is really interesting in terms of getting people to switch their travel behavior. I mean, does influencing the behavior really work though?
Very good point. It's a complicated thing. Our travel patterns are very habitual. They are often structured around family duties, or I need to be at work at a certain time, I need to pick the kids up from nursery at a certain time. There are some very fixed things in there, and there's some very intangible influences in there. I'm not in the mood today, or the sun is shining, or I just don't feel like it, whatever. And there's a lot of science around it. But lots of trials elsewhere have shown that, yes, you can influence travel behavior, and technology has the ability to do that mass processing to enable that. So the short answer, well, the long answer is it's complicated, but yes, it is possible and it can yield results.
Okay, great. Well, look, thanks for joining, Liz. We'll catch up in the Expo and networking booths right after this. Now it's time to go to our third company. So air quality has obviously improved during COVID, but it's squarely in the unhealthy zone for most major cities. The next company that we're going to meet is on a mission to change that. Please welcome Frida from Green City Solutions. Frida, welcome to the club. Looks like we might be missing Frida. She was backstage a minute ago, but why don't we go to our next company? So let's jump into IOMob. To introduce them, you got e-scooters, you got rideshare, you got buses, trains, bike schemes. There's more choice than ever to go from A to B. But how can mobility providers offer a more seamless end-to-end journey? Well, here with an answer, please welcome Boyd from IOMob. Boyd, let's try this one. Are we ready to go with Boyd? Oh, what's happening today? Should I just give Boyd's pitch for him? Okay. There we go. All right. I tell you what we'll do. We're going to jump into our sixth startup, which is Masabi. And let me introduce Masabi for you. So if you're looking for a more seamless way to pay and to ride, our final startup is just the ticket. With a smart fare system for public transport, please welcome Ben from Masabi. Ben, welcome to the club, and thanks for stepping in early there.
Hi, Jeremy. No problem. Don't know if the slides will turn up. There we go. So Masabi, we've been around for quite a while, but we are a relatively new approach in the transport and transportation industry, providing public transit tickets, which are not requiring all the heavy infrastructure and bespoke IT and ticket machines which have been used in the past. We focus on lightweight ticket in your pocket, something that people already have. So using their credit card they have, using their mobile phone, or for cash riders using receipt paper that convenience stores already have. By doing that, we can more than halve the cost of fare collection. Now, fare collection, selling tickets the old-fashioned way, not only is queues and annoying for people, but it's a lot of bespoke equipment, which can cost normally, if you put everything in and do a full life cycle cost, 14, 15, 16% of the cost of a ticket. Certainly Oyster used to cost about 14p in the pound. We slashed that. So for cities around the world, we're now live selling over $1 billion worth of tickets a year without needing all the heavy infrastructure. So everywhere from Australia to Alaska, we do capital cities. We do some cities like New York, Boston, Los Angeles, as well as tiny little operators, all who get the benefit of all of the latest fare collection technology without having to bespoke it every time. And we're trying to break the habit of public authorities of always buying heavy, expensive bespoke projects, which are built over a number of years with overruns. We can launch something much more quickly and then open that up to APIs that can join it to the latest mass and mobility applications. So every agency that works with Masabi can then turn their tickets on inside apps that are already in the passenger's pockets, such as the Uber app. So if you've got Uber and you go to one of the cities we support, as well as offering you how to get from the airport on an Uber car, you will be offered public transit tickets, which you buy in the app with your stored payment details that are there, and then just show the Uber app to get through gates or board a bus. So we're looking for more and more partners to launch this around the world. Integrator partners, mass application partners, and also public transit agencies who want to be able to leapfrog old-fashioned IT and projects. So that's Masabi. We are, over 100 people in multiple countries. So fairly established now, but still pushing new tech.
Fantastic, Ben. And obviously an interesting business to be in during COVID, where I assume ticket numbers are taking a big hit. How's this impacted your business?
Well, you're exactly right, Jeremy. Some of the agencies dropped almost nothing. Many of the agencies made their tickets for free for a short period because they were suffering from bus drivers catching COVID, from too much interaction with cash at the front of the vehicles. But what has happened now as recovery is being planned, more agencies want to have zero-touch ticketing, things which can be bought before they arrive at the train station or before they arrive on the bus. So in fact, we've got a boom time right now where more and more people want to accelerate to new ticket technology, which doesn't require them to touch things and interact so much at the front of the bus or in the train station. So a very interesting time, but some of our agencies have now had more than 50% recovery, but one or two of the commuter rail lines are still recovery because the knowledge workers have more choice to work from home. I think you're probably seeing that yourself, Jeremy.
Yeah, interesting. Nothing more powerful than an idea at the right time, and now is the idea. Now is the time for what you're doing. Thank you for joining us, Ben. We'll catch up in the Expo Zone and networking right after this. So let's rewind a couple of spots. I introduced Freda already, a company that is on a mission to improve air quality right around the world. Please welcome Freda from Green City Solutions. Oh, Freda, come on. Don't do this to me. I get so excited.
I'm not doing this to you again. I'm here. Can you hear me okay?
Perfect. You're good to go.
Wonderful. So I'm Freda from Green City Solutions. We are a Berlin-based green tech company with over 45 specialists, and we grow fresh air. Today, I want to introduce you to the City Tree. This is a solution that we are bringing to your cities to tackle air pollution now. Air pollution, as we know, is a huge problem around the world, reducing the quality of life in public spaces. 95% of people in cities breathe bad air every day. 8 million people die each year because of it, and 1.3 million pounds are lost annually. It is proven that fine particles have severe health consequences, and that an improved air quality has a positive impact on combating COVID-19. So, as the world starts to speed up again, let's make sure we take back control. We can improve air quality and create pleasant spaces. How can we do this? With the help of an ancient superhero, moss. Moss captures fine dust particles and converts it into biomass. It's antibacterial, antiseptic, and a renewable resource, and it filters up to 82% of particles. To harness this power, we developed a special bioalgorithm and an IoT-based control system that multiplies this natural filter effect. Let me introduce you to the City Tree. It filters the harmful particles and produces oxygen. It generates a pleasant cooling effect. It uses smart ventilation technology and has an integrated IoT system. It follows an ecological design and has a full supply unit. Over the last 6 years, Green City Solutions has helped a number of organizations and cities to fight air pollution with over 60 projects in Europe. We helped Deutsche Bahn to develop their sustainability strategy and partner with the Deutsche Telekom to integrate smart technology. Now we just finished partaking in Future Lab and partnering with LNER to mitigate the impact on the environment, look after people's health and well-being, and have a real positive influence on the community. We're doing this by creating clean air zones, providing clean and fresh air for the hourly breathing volume of up to 7,000 people, providing relaxation zones by bringing nature back into the city while creating a pleasant cooling effect, and being a platform of communication, showing real-time performance data and content. We believe that everyone has a right to breathe clean air, so please come and join me in the networking session, and I'll be happy to talk to you. Thank you.
That's great, Freda. So, this thing does a lot, right? You've got clean air, you've got relaxation zones, cooling effect, communications. What else does this thing do when you put it into stations?
I think there's a real benefit of putting it, whether it's in stations or in the city or on your company grounds, to really communicate what your business is doing to have a positive impact on the environment and create healthy environments for your customers and staff. It makes your efforts real tangible.
Okay, amazing. Very cool. It is a statement and it has an impact. So great to see. Thanks for joining, Freda. We'll catch up with you in the networking zone.
Thank you so much, Jeremy.
Cool. So let's have another go at talking with Boyd, who's going to talk through IOMOB and the work they're doing to create a seamless journey across e-scooters, rideshare, bus, trains, bike schemes, and so much more. Boyd, welcome to the club.
Thanks. Here I am. I made it.
Good to see you.
Really, I wanted to be last, and also Jeremy said that he could do the presentation for me, so I wanted him to try, but I guess that's not going to happen. Real quick, IMOB stands for the Internet of Mobility, and what that means is we're taking from the concept of Internet of Things, where different devices and cities can be seamlessly connected to the internet and then to each other to support big data and more efficiency in cities. We're applying that concept to vehicles. The Internet of Mobility is about connecting every type of vehicle, privately owned car or scooter or bike, and shared vehicles and public transit in a seamless open mobility marketplace that enables our enterprise customers, as we are a B2B and B2G company, to support, like we've done with LNER, seamless door-to-door mobility experiences for their customers. When we say seamless, we mean they can open the client's app, our enterprise client's app, discover the services around the user or the employee, get combined multimodal routing, leveraging our proprietary multimodal routing algorithm. So maybe the best option is to take a private car to a car park inside, adjacent to a train station, then take the train, and then take a scooter on the end of your journey. We support that entire journey deeply integrated, so the user never has to leave. That means part 3 of the experience is they can unlock or reserve a vehicle inside our client's app. And finally, of course, they can pay for all those experiences inside the client's app. Our initial clients have been in the rail and transit space, but we're increasingly working with OEMs. For example, we're doing something with Volkswagen Group. We worked on a project with Ford Motors before. We have another one that's under wraps for now, but will probably come out quite soon. And various other organizations in the travel, transportation, even other types of organizations like companies who want to better manage their employee mobility. And instead of having a fleet of privately owned vehicles for the corporation, they can offer their employees a mobility wallet with a specific budget they can spend every month on a range of mobility services that are already connected to IMO. If this is interesting to you and your company, we'd like to catch up with you more in the networking space. Thanks.
Very cool, Boyd, and very interesting, I'm sure, to a lot of people here. I'm interested though, IMOB, how can it help OEMs to grow revenue and expand their reach?
Yeah, good question. I think everybody knows that the world is changing regarding our relationship to cars. Obviously, there's a confluence of factors around connected and digitization of cars. We're seeing people increasingly, even if they buy a car, open up to peer-to-peer car sharing and carpooling. We can bring those in with the OEMs. We have OEMs who are now proactively looking at deploying their own B2C or B2B MOS platforms with their own brand or creating a new brand as a way to connect to a younger consumer who maybe, at least for now, doesn't feel the same desire to own and operate a car, but would like to have access to a range of mobility services, including cars. So those are some of the key use cases we're finding the OEMs interested in exploring.
Okay. Great. I look forward to catching up with you, Boyd, in networking and the Expo Zone right after this. Now, though, it's time for our last company to pitch. Here's a fun fact for you. Do you know there's over 350,000 electric or hybrid vehicles on the road in the UK already today? Well, helping drivers, energy retailers, and manufacturers to optimize for clean, green change. Please welcome Nick from EV Energy. Nick, welcome to the club.
Hi, Jeremy. So, hi, I'm Nick. I'm the CEO and one of the co-founders of EV Energy. So, EV Energy builds software to make electric vehicle charging greener, cheaper, and simpler. So, what's the key problem we solve? Well, the average electric vehicle owner clocks up fewer than 50 miles of driving each day, and they require about a few hours of charging each night. But the key problem with home electric vehicle charging is drivers come home from work, they plug in their cars, and they start charging immediately during the natural peak in energy consumption in the home. And this is really bad for 3 key reasons. Firstly, by charging at peak, customers are actually fueling their electric vehicles with dirty coal and gas power, which is running at peak times on the grid. Secondly, charging at peak is really, really expensive. And lastly, charging at peak puts an unnecessary strain on an over-congested power grid. So EV Energy transforms the world of electric vehicle charging. And how do we really do this? Well, let me tell you a little story about Mick, who's one of our early adopters. Mick downloaded the EV Energy app. He linked it to his Tesla and solar panels, and he uses EV Energy on a daily basis. And as a result of using EV Energy, we've made his charging greener. We've made EV Energy pairs automatically with his zero carbon solar on his roof. We've also made his charging fundamentally cheaper. So Mick uses Igloo Energy, a partner energy supplier of EV Energy, and he's saved about £250 in the last year on his energy costs with free home electric vehicle charging. But fundamentally, we've made his charging simpler. Using EV Energy, he just comes home, plugs in, and EV Energy handles the rest. So we're a software company, and our business model is to license our software to energy utilities, car manufacturers, and EV owners. We've been going for 2 years. We're now selling internationally in the USA, UK, and Australia. And our company's got 20 great people in it with a deep understanding of global energy markets and also technology. Thanks for listening, and I'll welcome any questions.
It sounds like you're getting great traction there, Nick. That's really exciting to see. I'm interested in the technology. Talk me through what are the components that make EV Energy, and what's behind there, I guess.
Yeah, so we basically have 3 core components as a software platform. So we have the platform that links in with the energy markets, the energy utilities. And we have the second component is the integrations that integrate with cars and chargers. So anything that's smart and connected, that's an electric vehicle or a charger, we can integrate with. And then the third thing is the user-facing app. So we've put a lot of effort into building a really, really simple user experience and a really simple to use app that you vehicle, and you can download this from the App Store.
Okay, brilliant. Check it out. Check it out in the App Store. Check it out in Networking and Expo right after this. Nick, thank you for joining. There you go, folks. That's a wrap. Thanks to all 6 startups for those pitches, which hopefully gave you a really good insight into the future of mobility and what's coming down the track. In fact, what's already here and enabled by startups. Just before we head over to the networking zone, a quick heads up on what is coming up in SixSixty. So as a mobility community, we're going to be meeting the 4th Thursday of every month. So our next session is going to be on Thursday, the 22nd of October. Drop it in your calendar. It's going to be the same link, and we'll send out an email later today with those details. Lastly, if any of you are in an innovation role within your company, or you head up innovation, or if you're involved in marketing or retail at all, then we also run 660 sessions based on those themes as well. And you're more than welcome to join. Next week, we're going to be bringing together innovation leaders from across the FTSE to explore the big challenges that they're looking to unlock. And we're going to be joined by the head of innovation at IAG, which could be interesting to some of you as well. So now it's time to head over to the Expo Zone and the Networking Zone. Here's how it works. The Expo Zone includes details of each of the 6 companies that you've met here today, as well as details on GoPartner. If you're interested in any of that, please do check it out. They're like virtual booths. You can go in there, watch a video, chat with the person behind it, and click a blue button to connect as well. And your details will get sent straight through to them. And then we've got networking, which is a lot of fun. It's a little bit like chat roulette. So you jump in there. It forces you to rotate and meet new people. If you have an awkward conversation or something doesn't work or you met someone before, you can click skip to next as well. So there's no commitment. And then, of course, if you meet someone you'd like to share details with, you can click connect, and that goes through to them as well. So please do make the most of this. There's some really interesting people in the club. So check that out. And we will see you here. Same time, same place, either next week for innovation leaders or on the 22nd of October for everyone else. Thanks again for joining, and we'll see you around.